You also have what is called the emotional intelligence. It comes with being aware and being mindful of the environment. So you begin to detect patterns and isolate things like that and know that when you see this kind of pattern, this is the behavior to have. Same thing with adversity quotient. The same way when you fail at something as it is, you learn from that experience. You don't say you are a failure. No, you don't tell yourself you're a failure. You simply learn and say, oh, that failed. And then you ask yourself, why did it fail? And then you're able to highlight key areas, key points or observations down and say, oh, this is what led to why this failed. And you take that knowledge, that data, and use it next time somewhere else. It's called adversity quotient, to be able to cope with adversity and failures and disappointments and all those kind of related issues.
We believe that everyone has a story to share. We believe in the power of storytelling in today's digital economy. Yes, we believe that our audience need to be touched at the level of emotion so we can better engage. What about you? Do you believe in storytelling as much as we do? Do you want to reach the hearts and minds of your audience? Then join us in our online training class, Storytelling for Content Creators and Digital Entrepreneurs. Come to obehi1food.com/storytelling and learn how to leverage your storytelling skills so you can earn more as a content creator and digital entrepreneur. Storytelling is a powerful instrument at our disposal. Let's explore it together. See you in the class.
So that you can rise again and tackle things head on. The same thing with civic intelligence. Civic intelligence means that you know that political decisions have direct impact in your pockets. What you earn, the school you go to, the quality of life you live, whether you will marry or not, whether you will have children or not, whether you can take care of your mother, your grandmother or not, whether you can be useful in society or not, whether you can carry a community and say we want to donate and create a system where we can handle our problems or not. And once you understand that civic intelligence has to do with understanding the electoral processes in your country, how it works, what the law says, what you have as a right as a citizen, what is the right of the politician, what is the role of the regulatory bodies in the political process, what is the process itself in bringing in elective members of the society to be given power to make decisions about your life. And you know that you also have tools, mechanisms, processes, and means to also checkmate them through things like writing petitions, like carrying out protests, like recalling a sitting senator or House of Representative or state representative member, or even generating a situation whereby your House of Assembly members must now, by any means, because the media, you can use the media as your voice to voice out your anger, your pain, your disappointment, and even encourage a situation where there's a no vote of confidence that leads to the impeachment of a president. But you know all of this. You understand that your civic intelligence is about guiding and guarding your future as a Nigerian.
Is there a way that people can learn some of this civic responsibility? Because if you don't know, like we were saying before about the power or the relationship between the leader and the lead, if the lead do not know that they have a role in the relationship that actually work there, you might think that, okay, it's only the politicians that decided everything, they are just doing everything, they are the ones that are corrupt. But like I've often said here in this podcast, it is not only the politicians that are corrupt. Even the Nigeria electorate are equally corrupt, because if they are not corrupt, it will be the politician will be afraid of the people if they are corrupt. But because they are not afraid of the people, meaning that everybody is the same in the same boat.
So here is the thing. Part of the civic intelligence is knowing that you should not sell your vote. It's just common sense. So civic intelligence, to a very large extent, borderlines on common sense thinking. What do I mean? You know that once you collect that money, even if it's 5,000, 10,000, or even 50,000 or 100,000, or even if it's a million, you know that that money ends the day that money ends. And that money can end in a second, in a minute, in an hour, in a day, in a few weeks, or just a month. Now, once that money finishes, it will not last you to the next election cycle. Fact. Now, when you do a critical thinking, you would understand that, wait, how did I collect 1 million naira, 50 kobo, salt, pepper, now? And I know it will not even last me till the end of the year, let alone the cycle of the election or the tenure of that person. So you will now sit back and realize that if I take this money and I vote this person in, this person is no longer beholden to me. I have sold my birthright, like Nigerians know from the Bible. That is those who read the Bible. You've sold yourself for a pot of stew. The pot of stew has ended. What's next for you? But when they understand that the moment you don't collect money from them and you can go out and vote, you will know that you can never be tired or lazy or find excuses why you should not recall somebody who is not performing well. And it's the same principle that if you understand that the quality of the politicians we have today is also a reflection of the culture and the mind of the Nigerian space to some extent, that is why you see this kind of people come out, then you understand it. A situation where the so-called middle class people, I always say that a lot, that we, the middle class people, are part of the problem of Nigeria. What do I mean? We are the ones who do not go out to vote. Even though I vote, I still put myself in that space because I knew what it took for me to break the shackle of growing up in an environment, a society, a religious setting where you were not encouraged to go out and vote, where you did not see your parents go out and vote. Many of us, our parents never voted in their entire life. Maybe once in their entire life, if at all. Some persons, their parents never did, their uncles never did, their great aunts never even did, or uncle, as the case may be. So we have grown up in a society, in a culture where religion has superseded our civic intelligence, that we no longer think that civic duty is even part of being a good Christian or Muslim. So where that part in the Bible tells people to pay Caesar's things to Caesar, pay your taxes. Why can't you pay your, go and get your voters PVC and go out and vote? So when Nigerians understand that at this point where we are now, if you decide that your civic intelligence will be low, you get low leadership. If you decide that your civic intelligence will be high, you're going to also get high level of leadership. There is no two way about it. A very civic conscious society begets a highly proven leadership culture. It is that simple. So for example, in Australia, they know that if you don't go out to vote, they will fine you $20. For some people, they will say, what is $20? I beg, I'll receive fine. That is in a culture where value for voting is not highly placed. But in that culture, even though they can afford the $20, many of them prefer to go out and vote because they know that I can hold my person in power, that person I voted in power. Whether I voted him or not is not relevant. If my person gets into power, fine. If my person doesn't get into power, still fine. But what did I do? I exercised my vote. And I know that I will have the mouth, the voice to be able to call that person out if they are not performing. You understand that it is an entire process. An election is not that day's election of voting alone, but election is actually a continuous cycle from the day that you go out to get your register for your PVC, you collect your PVC, you vote that person, the person is in power, and governance continue. It never stops. It's a daily practice. So Nigerians must get to a point where they understand that you have to learn how to hold yourself accountable so that you can hold the president, the governor, the representatives, the councillors at the local government area accountable too. Because if you feel that you should be excused, then you will want to excuse the other man from not also being held accountable. It is that simple.
That's true. Absolutely true. All right. Now, where do you see the future of Nigeria with the work that you are doing within the area of civic intelligence and also in your journalism? Because you are educated people, you trust your education. What kind of Nigeria do you see in the future?
Oh, I see a Nigeria where people are becoming, for the first time, very civic conscious of the decision that they make. Nigerians are beginning to understand that at this point now, there is hunger in the land and it's biting everybody very hard. Nigerians are beginning to understand that if they can get a leader who gives them power alone, it will drive the economy of this country on so many levels with the speed of light. Nigerians also begin to understand that even though as a delegate I collected so and so money, I'm regretting not voting the person that should really do the job. There's a lot of regret following not with those conversations. I've had to interview some, and I could sense that they are beginning to understand that even after they collect the money, there's also a feeling of self-failure. There's some sense of guilt and shame that envelops them, even though they can see evidence of why they use the money for, and they use that as comfort. But it's not enough comfort because they know that that person that they have sold their soul spirit to, as it were, is not going to do them anything in the next 4 years once they get into power. Next 8 years, if they do 2 terms. And we're beginning to see a Nigeria that is beginning to be very, very, in terms of self-mobilization, collaborative work, which is not a culture we used to have like before. And we used to work as a people together. That broke for many, many decades. But now I'm beginning to see that Nigerians are beginning to look teamwork, collaboration, of having a vision and working towards that vision, come what may. We're beginning to see a Nigeria where they can speak truth to power. They will call the president by his name and say, "You didn't do right." Before this time, they used to be very quiet. They only complain within their homes. And when they see people coming up, they shut up. Now, these Nigerians are more vocal. Thank goodness we have social media, which has brought about a certain kind of revolution we've never seen before in giving out information. So for that, I know that we're going to get a better Nigeria. And then we're having the young millennials, right? The Gen Z generation and the Y generation who are more aware of their own rights. In fact, they have a better, strong sense of entitlement compared to the generation before them. They're beginning to own that civic space. I see a Nigeria where the civil society is waking up, from Yaga to Serap to other fantastic civil society groups, many of which I also collaborate with. EIE, enough is enough too. I've seen so many of them doing magical, extraordinary work, and the impact they have been making is outstanding. Yes, someone like Atato Peter, they work together with other groups, and in different ways. I'm seeing technocrats in different, everybody coming in to try to create a difference. And I believe that this is where we should be headed to, where we galvanize the young people and where the young people know that the power belongs to them. And every single Nigerian, every child, I'm seeing where parents now are beginning to tell their children, who are we voting for? The children will now say the name of who they want to. Now, that kind of civic consciousness at that crèche level, when they're just a few months old or can barely even speak good English, but can still say what they want to say. That moment when they see us participating and engaging, we are going to create the Nigeria we seek. And I pray that we continue at this momentum. We never give up, because consistency is key, and we have to maintain it till we get that which we want. Part of that conversation and part of that journey, and I'm beginning to see that soon we get a better Nigeria than the one we've known in the last 40 years.
Thank you so much for that. How can people connect with you? I don't know, maybe you have a book or books there that you are selling, you have courses, you have training program. Use this few seconds to advertise yourself.
Okay. Well, we do a lot of training program. I do a lot of mentoring. I have mentored thousands of young Nigerians, from the young man who won the first West African Idol, Timi Dakolo, to the young man who produced one of Burna Boy's music that, as we all know, is now a Grammy Award winner, to the young man who started Mark Angel Comedy that now has a franchisee for Emanuela comedy that you see from time to time. They broke the Google Internet for Africa on so many levels. So I have always done things like that. And currently, I still train people in media, in arts, in mentoring, and even into politics, those who want to be things like that. I also train them, and they can just connect with me on my phone number. That is +234 803 59 26901, or they connect with me on social media, Facebook and Twitter at Lady E Umukoro. Lady E Umukoro. That's Umukoro. You just Google me on LinkedIn, Lady Ejiro Umukoro, and they're going to find me there. In fact, if you want to just check me out, just Google Lady Ejiro Umukoro, and you see so much about me will even come up as well. And they can just email at contactlightraymedia@gmail.com. That's my name of my company, lightraymedia at gmail. So that's contactlightraymedia@gmail.com.
That's powerful. Of course, for why you are Lady E, you already explained that. That is very important.